Okay, I'm going to come on and share something that is a little bit different than my typical content, but my kids lost their poor little baby bunny. He was only 6 months old, and we found him dead. His name is Cheeto Puff, and it's just like one of those unfortunate things. He caught some sort of disease, couldn't recover from the sickness. My kids are 2 and 7. We did go through this once before. 2 years ago, we had a bulldog. She was almost 11. She was like my soul dog. And so we did navigate like pet loss and grief with my son at the time. Um, but it's really important, no matter how small the loss is, to walk your kids through the steps, be consistent with things, because unfortunately they will face loss another time in their life. And we're teaching them right now how to navigate grief and loss. So there's some things that I have learned. I actually get to like brush off my old skills that I used to do. I went to school and I got my master's in school counseling. It's been 7 years now since I got that degree, and I did work as a school counselor for a few years and I loved it. So I get to kind of pull out some of those skills and use them with my own kids, but I thought it would be helpful to also share them on here because it's one of those things that it happens and you're like, what am I supposed to do in this situation? So there are so many resources out there, but these are some things that I'm going to run through that we did with our kids that I felt was really helpful. So the first is when you are talking to kids about death, you need to be really honest and clear and use simple, age appropriate language. So don't say things like they went to sleep or even saying things like they went to heaven, because that's very unclear and that could make them scared thinking that that could happen to them. So we just say that the bunny got sick. He had a really bad sickness that couldn't be cured. There's no cure for it. His body stopped working. His body is not ever going to work again. And so he died. And my 7-year-old really understood that this time. My 2-year-old doesn't really comprehend that yet, but she's still kind of absorbing that. And we still just kind of explained it in a similar way that we did with my 7-year-old. Whatever emotions they have at first, just acknowledge and validate those emotions. They might be sad, they might be angry. My son tried to blame it on us and say we did something wrong, or that somebody snuck into the house and purposefully did something to make him die. So we just acknowledge whatever feelings they're feeling in that moment. I also think it's important for parents to share their own feelings and be honest with it, because you are modeling for your child. So when I say I'm really sad because I also loved Cheeto Puff and I'm going to miss watching him chomp on carrots and Brussels sprouts in the house and walk and jump around and be really cute in the house and do obstacle courses. So using like that sentence of I feel sad that blank is gone because blank helps them like model that in their own brain and kind of process their grief. Having some sort of little ritual to say goodbye can be really helpful. So there's so many ideas online of things that you can do, and I would just pick what's appropriate for your family, and then also like what's appropriate for the situation, because some losses like losing a bunny or a fish or like a small animal is a lot different than losing a dog that's been in the family for 10 years. And these same things apply to family members or friends too. So kind of pick the ritual based on the situation. For us, we decided to get the kids little stuffed animals to represent the bunny that they could like hold and snuggle if they missed him. And then we printed out a couple pictures of our bunny and we made 2 like art projects. So each kid made their own art project, and I had scrapbook paper and stickers and like tape and glue, and the kids could just kind of like make a little memorial that they could put in their room to remember him by. Talking about positive memories is really important. So going around and sharing favorite positive memories from the pet, lots of comfort, lots of reassurance, They're going to have lots of questions, so just answering those as age appropriately and honestly as you can. And the last thing that I also found to be super helpful was to read books together. My favorite book about pet loss is The Invisible Leash by Patrice Karst. And I just think that helps kids like remember their pet like in a fond way and think of their pet kind of like looking down on them and doing something fun wherever their spirit is. And for loved ones, The Invisible String is also really, really good. So those are the things that we did to help our kids navigate a pet loss that happened this week. I do have some experience and education in this, but there are so many good resources out there. So I would check those out and let me know in the comments if there's anything that you've done that you think is really helpful too.